Hello and welcome to Will Watches. This is Oppenheimer. Unfortunately, I couldn't do Barbie and Oppenheimer together because they released them so far apart on video on demand, but getting around to Oppenheimer now. Of course, this is Nolan. Nolan is a filmmaker I have like an interesting history with. I really love some of his films. Inception is amazing, but I do think some films I don't quite connect with, like Tenet, his newest one, but I've heard very good things about this, and because this is like a biopic, it's a bit more grounded. I think I'm going to enjoy this a bit more, and I've already heard the really good things about it too. By the way, there is some construction happening on the flat below me, so if you hear any noises in the background, that's what it is. Apologies in advance. Also, I know a huge part of this is seeing it in IMAX, seeing it in the best quality possible. I've got a version here that's 4K and it's downloaded, so there won't be any buffering. It'll be in 4K throughout the whole thing. You guys won't see it in 4K because I only upload to YouTube in 1080, but I am watching it on a very close screen, 32-inch screen, very close. So it is like taking up most of my vision here. I feel like I'm doing it justice visually at least as well. Although, you know, obviously optimum is seeing it in IMAX, but that's not something I can achieve. So before we jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon page. Over there you can find a full-length version of this where you can sync up your own footage and watch along with me. You can also find polls so you can vote for what's next, and you can find early access to some shows and movies too. Here he is. Already ripple effects. Is that what he's seeing and contemplating there? Ooh, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to man. First he was changed for rock and tortured for eternity. Isn't the book about Oppenheimer, is it named American Prometheus?
Dr. Oppenheimer. Dr. Oppenheimer.
How long did he testify?
Honestly, I forget.
Fusion and fission, okay. And it's color is subjective, black and white is objective. That's the way he's done it, isn't it?
I thought Berkeley had the leading theoretical physics department.
Yes, once I built it. But first I had to go to New York.
So the whole thing is like a courtroom drama. That's maybe not doing it justice, but yeah, it's all framed around that.
Bryce Oppenheimer. Have you had any sleep? Oh, no, not you, Oppenheimer.
You finished coaching those plates.
Cyanide. Is potassium cyanide the same as cyanide? I'm pretty sure it is. What? Changed his mind?
You were at my lecture. You asked the only good question.
No one's denying it.
Oh, nice.
Laboratory work that leaves a little to be desired.
Is he actually accidentally gonna kill his idol here?
Germany, study under Max Born. Learn the ways of theory. I'll send word.
Okay, so he's not as good at practical. And then I know all of these shots that show the explosion are practical. I mean, that's just like glitter, isn't it? But I do wonder how they filmed some of it. Like that, yeah. Oh, the song is so good. I do know... Oh, who's it who does it? Oh, that's so good. Yeah, it's Ludwig Göransson, okay. I've heard about this song and how it's like simulates like the nature of atoms or something hitting each other. The way the tempo is constantly changing. Oh, seeing it. Oh, that's cool.
Wondered why you didn't involve him in the Manhattan Project. Greatest scientific mind of our time.
Of his time. Einstein published his theory of...
Okay, that is Einstein.
I'd love to introduce you.
No need. I've known him for years.
Noticing the jumps to the IMAX format, because before, I don't know what exact ratio, but it's jumped to the IMAX bigger now.
Albert.
Ooh.
What was that? What did you say to him?
He seemed upset. Yeah, are the moments in IMAX more important? Because it cut to this conversation and it's not.
I'm an American myself.
How surprising.
Let me know if you need any help with the English.
De bolsingtusen en alfa deltjene at home.
That was good. Yeah, there is some comedy sprinkled in here.
This is German you have to seek out.
Heisenberg.
Right.
I wonder how many people only know Heisenberg through Breaking Bad and were caught off by that.
Did you ever encounter Heisenberg again?
Not in person, no, but you might say our paths crossed.
Yeah, the thing is, I'm not like too clued up on everything. Obviously, I know a basic amount of Oppenheimer, but his relationship to other physicists, other scientists, and the exact details of his life, definitely going to be interesting.
One student? That's it?
I'm teaching something no one here has dreamt of. But once people start hearing what you can do with it,
There's no going back.
So he only started off with one student.
I have a grasp on the basics.
then you're doing it wrong.
Is light made up of particles or waves?
I mean, it'd be the best way to learn one-on-one. He's got a personal tutor.
When gravity starts winning, it contracts.
Density increases.
Correct.
Do they know or have discovered black holes by this point?
What's the limit here?
I don't know. See where the math takes us.
Me?
Yes, you. Your math is better than mine.
You shouldn't let them bring their politics in the classroom, Oppie.
I wrote that. Picasso, Stravinsky, Freud, Marx.
Well, this is America, Oppie. We had our revolution.
Yeah, Red Scare. Can't mention Marx.
Our government. They think that socialism is a bigger threat than fascism.
Not for long.
Well, you just hear the name and that's enough. Name it socialism or communism and they hate you.
Can that really happen?
The math says it can. If we can get published, then perhaps one day an astronomer finds one. But right now, all I have is theory.
And we know Nolan already knows how to create black holes on screen.
I'll bite.
I tried to poison my tutor.
Did you hate him?
I liked him very much.
You just needed to get laid.
Yeah, why did he try to do that?
What's this?
Sanskrit.
You can read this?
I'm learning.
You can't deny his intelligence. Always learning.
And now I have become death. Destroyer of worlds.
That's where the quote is. I've always heard the quote. I didn't imagine it'd be mid-sex scene like that. I thought maybe that would be like the end of the movie, the conclusion, the realization that he has become death.
So, I'm getting married.
Frick! Congratulations!
Thank you.
Jackie.
Yeah, to Jackie.
Yeah, he doesn't really care that much about his brother, does it?
Frank, okay?
Yes. He just has a shitty brother.
Yeah, didn't even know Jackie's name earlier, did he?
I didn't expect to see you today.
Don't want to be seen publicly together.
What? What is it?
Hey, Johnny.
You made the realization.
Bombarded with neutrons.
It's a nuclear fission. They did it. They split the atom.
It's not possible.
Okay, so someone else got to that before him.
See? Can't be done.
Very elegant. Quite clear.
There's something he's not realizing with it though.
Next door. Alvarez did it.
I mean, it's the whole theory versus doing it practically. In theory, it shouldn't be done, or he doesn't know how to do it.
I told you, Robert, no more fucking flowers.
I don't understand what you want from
I
me.
don't want anything from you.
Yeah, what's the deal? He just doesn't want a relationship. I mean, I get it. It's Florence Pugh. I'd be obsessed too.
Oh, Harlan, our paper, it's in print.
You've been upstaged.
Okay, so it was like their paper, that the theory of black holes.
This glass, this drink, this countertop, it's mostly empty space. Groupings of tiny energy waves bound together.
I like that because the imagery there, the kind of sparkles, the particles, that could be atoms with the space between them, but it could also be stars. It's like micro and macro. We see kind of the same imagery for both.
I didn't want you to hear it from anyone else.
At least you didn't bring me flowers.
Yeah, she can't commit to him, so he's moved on. It seems very conflicted from her.
Yeah, but it's a door closing.
No. Not as far as I'm concerned, no.
Is he gonna continue to siege her?
Luminance. What do you get paid a month?
That's not the point, Lawrence.
What do any of you have in common with farm laborers and dock workers?
Nah, everyone should be in a union, he's right.
They won't let me bring you onto the project because of this shit.
We've all heard about Einstein and Ziller's letter to Roosevelt warning him the Germans could make a bomb, and I know what it...
Yeah, he already knows what it is. We gotta have a bigger one.
Stop being so goddamn naive.
Why would they care what I do?
Because you're not just self-important, you're actually important.
Yeah, I guess he's gotta think pragmatically and worry about how his politics would affect his job.
Luminance, I'll talk to the others. You don't have to worry. It's done. Lawrence.
Have to put aside everything. He's seeing it as for the greater good as well, to help, you know, get ahead of Germany.
People hounded out of jobs for any hint of red.
Yeah. So many ties to it.
How would Borden have access to Oppenheimer's security file?
Because somebody gave it to him.
Ooh. Is that going to be a reveal later? Who is going to be that betrayed him? Someone who had that security file, though.
Look at this man who saw so much be so blind.
Kitty?
Saw so much, but he's so blind. Is it the classic, you're a genius, but your kind of home life is all falling apart? Social skills. She's drinking while the baby's crying, you know? These things are obviously not completely right at home.
I have been going to him all fucking day.
She's just done with it. But also, like, yeah, it's that classic dilemma. His job is so important as well. Taking time out for the baby during the war as well, you know. It's valuable time.
Take Peter.
Sure.
For a while, Hook. A while.
So they're just going to take care of the kids. It makes sense. They're both at capacity.
We're awful people. Selfish, awful people.
Selfish, awful people. They don't know. They're selfish and awful.
Yeah, just the self-awareness to know makes you be on that.
The world is pivoting in some new direction.
But then you don't want to become estranged from your child as well, missing out on their childhood.
Why don't you have a Nobel Prize? Why aren't you a general?
They're making me one for this.
Perhaps I'll have the same luck.
A Nobel Prize for making a bomb?
Alfred Nobel invented dynamite.
I mean, yeah, true.
You're talking about turning theory into a practical weapon system faster than the Nazis.
I mean, that's not your strong suit, is it? Turning theory into practical.
You know his work.
I know him, just like I know Walter Botha, von Weizsäcker, Diebner. In a straight race, the Germans win.
Yeah, they know the other side personally.
My favorite response. Oppenheimer couldn't run a hamburger stand.
I couldn't.
I mean, at least he admits to it.
All America's industrial might and scientific innovation connected by rail, focused on one goal.
Have they already built the rail, or they're building it specifically for this project? I mean, I know it's a huge scale project.
Build them a town, fast.
Yeah, I love that he could just say that. Just build me a town, and they build a town.
You know isotopes, and you know explosives better than anyone in the world.
But you can't tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, they gotta tell them what the actual project is. How can they convince them without them fully knowing?
Why? How about because this is the most important fucking thing that ever happened in the history of the world? How about that? Fuck.
Yeah, he's a bit sick of it. The convincing.
I don't wish the culmination of 3 centuries of physics to be a weapon of mass destruction.
Finally, someone putting forward the moral part of it. But of course, the counter is always the Germans are going to get there before us. We need to do it.
I don't know if we can be trusted with such a weapon, but I know the Nazis can't.
Yeah, exactly. Just both racing to their destruction.
Let's get started. Hello, Edward.
When I calculated the chain reaction, I found a rather troubling possibility.
Oh, the one chain reaction across the whole world. That explains why he was so panicking, so sweaty when he came in.
There's not much common ground between you two.
That's where I should get his view.
What?
It's crazy how immediately they realize, can you actually, get the full meaning of it just by looking at it like that? You probably do need a moment to contemplate it.
Would ignite the atmosphere.
We might start a chain reaction that destroys the world.
I mean, obviously, we know it doesn't, but why doesn't it? Why does the chain reaction stop eventually?
You now tell us critical assumptions. The real picture emerges. The chances of an uncontrolled nuclear reaction are near zero.
Near zero.
Yeah, near zero isn't zero, though. There's still the ever so slight chance.
Apparently, the government's not sharing any research with the Russians.
I guess also, low, if you share information, there's possibility of that information being intercepted. So you might not want to always do that as well.
Conversation ended there. It has long been clear to me that I should have reported this incident at once.
But he didn't because it's his friend.
Halifax, 1917. The biggest man-made explosion in history. Now let's calculate how much more destructive.
Oh yeah, the size of theirs compared.
The bomb will need a... Gadget will need a 33-pound sphere.
Oh, not using the B word. Okay, calling it a gadget instead. Is that just a bit of denial in a way, though? Refusing to call it a bomb, trying to separate themselves from it.
Instead of uranium or plutonium, we use hydrogen.
So how do you generate enough force to fuse hydrogen atoms?
A small fission bomb.
Use the fission bomb to start fusion. Yeah, so carry on doing what they were doing.
The long-range detection filter papers.
It's an atomic test.
They're already testing.
The Russians have a bomb. We're supposed to be years ahead of them, but wasn't security tight?
Of course it was. You weren't there.
Wait, is something leaked?
I've offered jobs to all the wives of men, librarians, computation. We cut down on staff, keep families together. Are these women?
Makes sense.
These are some of the brightest minds in our community.
I mean, some of the jobs you don't need to be that qualified for, the smaller ones.
Once a week. Top men only. I'd like to bring my brother here. No.
Yeah. Communist brother definitely wouldn't be allowed.
I still haven't heard that my security clearance has been approved.
It hasn't.
I'm going to Chicago tomorrow.
No, you should wait.
You are aware that the Nazis have a 2-year head start.
Yeah, things need to move quick.
What about the super? Does Truman even know about it? Did we brief him on that?
Not specifically.
Oh, Lawrence is here too as well.
Sorry, Dr. Lawrence, you want to comment?
Yeah, there's that whole thing about who submitted that paper, who gave it to the guy who exposed him for being a communist. I'm wondering if it was Lawrence who did that. It seems like that might be a reveal later on of someone who's betrayed him. And I don't know why. I feel like it could be Lawrence. There's been high tensions between the two.
Opie. Dr. Fermi.
Come stai? Va bene. I hear you got a little town.
Yes, come and see.
Fermi of the Fermi paradox.
Enough of this madhouse. Nobody can work under these conditions. You know what? Generalissimo, I quit.
We'll have him killed.
Okay. I mean, he's making the joke, but he probably has the power to do that.
I was aware he had a very extreme liberal background.
In your opinion, would he ever consciously commit a disloyal act?
I would be amazed if he did.
It's funny he's doing it right in front of him, because if it was the other way around and he was like drilling into him, he's right there listening.
My God, what a trick. That's why you need a liaison. I'm appointing Lomanitz. You're gonna be okay.
He's always saying you're going to be okay to Lomanitz, isn't he? So bringing Lawrence in. Lawrence is kind of the man who makes it practical, so it makes sense.
I seem to remember you demanding your brother come to Los Alamos.
My brother had left the party by then.
Do we need to talk about Jean Tatlock? Or the Chevalier incident?
Yeah, lots of connections.
Then another screw up. Lomanitz just got drafted.
It wasn't a mistake. Your friend Lomanitz has been trying to unionize the radiation lab.
So they got him out of there. So they just draft him to get him out. Okay.
It's important you not maintain or renew any questionable associations.
Yeah. So just trying to set up a unit is enough.
I've had a lot of secrets in my head for a long time.
Bought flowers. Yeah.
Where did you go?
I can't tell you.
Why not?
Because you're a communist.
Yeah, I can't tell her. Shouldn't even be in the room.
But I felt that she had to see me. She was undergoing psychiatric treatment.
For her own well-being. Okay.
She had to see you.
Oh. Is that just transition between the two rooms? Oh, it's from her perspective, her seeing it. Okay. Admitting that is cheated, yeah. Right in front of her. I thought the imagery of him being naked there could also have been, in a way, him feeling exposed, feeling bare, feeling vulnerable.
Never saw her again.
What was that with the hair in the bathtub and the pillows there?
If they don't release the transcript, I'm sure you will.
I was under oath.
Well, you were under an oath to me when you went to see Jean.
You met Colonel Pash? Colonel Pash, could you please read from your memo dated June 29, 1943?
Who is this? They're not showing his face. I imagine he'll be a big actor.
Met with and spent considerable time with one Jean Tatlock, communist, the record of whom is attached.
The subject being Dr. Oppenheimer.
Yeah, what's that with the pillows and the bathtub there? Was it from her? An S wording there? Can't say the word on YouTube.
General Groves has placed in me a certain responsibility.
I mean, the cast here is star-studded, isn't it? All of these smaller roles are huge actors.
Might we know through whom the contact was made?
That would involve people who ought not to be involved in this.
Yeah, try not to give someone up.
So Eltonton made his approach through a member of the faculty here at Berkeley.
Usually throwing under the bus.
Instead of us going on certain steps, which may come to your attention and be disturbing to you.
Yeah, best to tell them, then let them investigate and interfere.
In the months in between your interview with Dr. Oppenheimer and his eventual naming of Chevalier, did you expend resources trying to find the name of the intermediary?
Okay, I was getting a bit confused there. Chevalier is the name. The Chevalier incident is Chevalier is who it was, the guy from earlier. It's so dense with characters and names. Yeah, the one he should have reported earlier.
I felt my time would be better spent in Europe determining the status of the Nazi bomb project.
Who did?
General Groves.
Oh.
The power you're about to reveal will forever outlive the Nazis. And the world is not prepared.
More warnings of what's to come.
Sorry, Oppie, but there's a call from San Francisco.
From San Francisco. Okay. Yeah, that was what we were seeing. I was wondering if that was, to do with her or maybe to do with his brother as well.
We just don't know what it might do to the female reproductive
Your
system.
reproductive system is more exposed than mine, presumably.
Can we please?
Okay, hint of the sexism of the time as well.
I'm engaged in the research.
On a hydrogen bomb we're not even building!
Ella's gone?
No one is leaving Los Alamos.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're not just like fully locked down here for security the entire time.
You don't have time to meet. You're a politician now, Robert. You've left physics behind many, many years ago.
Once a week. 1 hour, you and me.
Solid amount of time. There's only so many hours in a week.
I pointed out technical difficulties with it.
Didn't you try to kill it at the AEC meeting after the Russian bomb test?
No.
But that was the recommendation of the AEC, was it not?
So letting him develop something on the side idea, the hydrogen bomb.
It's a weapon of mass genocide.
Izzy, draw some circles on this side of the map where they would target us, starting with New York.
Yeah, they need to see what it could do to them as well. Makes sense. Yeah, there's this that came up before, this motif of the stomping. It's like something haunting him, isn't it?
An hydrogen bomb can be made to work, Oppie. You know that.
I don't believe we should commit all our resources to that chance.
Then how would you have Truman reassure?
They want to go for the biggest weapon possible.
Headed England. I can't help but imagine what it will be for such an enemy rocket to carry an atomic
Oh, seeing the ripples on there. It's like, you know, ripples as in cause and effect ripples, but then it also looks like kind of that area that a bomb would hit.
Might Mr. Nichols have given him access to the file, or someone else at the AEC?
That's very serious, actually.
They believe Nichols, okay.
But how do we justify using this weapon on human beings?
Yeah, so sometimes they forget the moral side of it and it has to be brought back up.
Everybody, folks, head down.
This is... Okay, one of the first tests. Not the big test, though. How much do they know about, you know, radioactive waste and kind of the radioactive size of it? Because they were just behind a hill, you know, that doesn't do much when they do the test. I don't know how much they knew about that, the long-lasting effects, exposing yourself to radiation.
Trinity.
Now, I've heard people mention the Trinity test and the Trinity test sequence in this film.
Because we're building it, doesn't mean we get to decide how it's used.
History will judge us, Robert.
Yeah, the moral stance of it is starting to come up more and more.
Medium-sized city, 20 or 30,000 dead.
But don't underestimate the psychological impact.
There's 20 to 30,000 regular people, civilians.
It would be definitive. World War II would be over. Our boys would come home.
It's a full stop.
And we could issue a warning to reduce civilian casualties.
They'd send everything they have up against us. And
Yeah, if you issue a warning, they retaliate.
is there no way to demonstrate a bomb to Japan to provoke surrender?
I've taken Kyoto off the list due to its cultural significance to the Japanese people. Also, my wife and I honeymooned there.
Just takes it off because he's been there, you know? I mean, I know Hiroshima and Nagasaki are culturally relevant now because of what happened.
We need these men, but as soon as it's practical, we should sever any such scientists from the program. Wouldn't you agree, Doctor?
Yeah, anyone who's not loyal, just get rid of them as soon as they can, okay?
Are those safe distances?
Based on your calculations.
Time to stand behind your science, Hans. Literally.
Yeah, 20 miles, but now he's doubting it. I mean, you play it on the safe side, surely. You see how cautious they all are as well, but just everything. One little slip up. I don't know if, you know, you could accidentally activate it like that. Notice it stayed in the large format IMAX for quite a while here, you know, highlighting the importance of this moment. Oh, that didn't look good. What was he realizing there?
Hope he's taking a very modest 3 kilotons, telesing with 45, 20.
Oh, betting on it? Wow.
We fire these detonators and they don't trigger a reaction. 2 years worth of plutonium will be scattered across White Sands.
A month on my salary.
Yeah, so much money to waste as well, but you know, it is all in the pursuit of progress, so they would learn from it.
What did Fermi mean by atmospheric ignition? Are we saying there's a chance that when we push...
He's only just been told about this now?
Chances are near zero. Near zero. What do you want from theory alone?
Suddenly he's worried about it.
Now.
Oh, putting sunscreen on.
Stops the UV.
But stops the glass.
Yeah, it's true. Was anyone blinded? I feel like that could blind him.
Try not to blow up the world.
No matter what he does though, doesn't he? If it's not here.
2 minutes to destination.
What are the rockets?
Didn't need a charge.
The music is so great, building up this tension.
10, 9.
Oh, nearly clicking abort a few times there. Want to get a better view of it. Not in the bunker though, yeah. No sound at all. There's just a flash of white light there. Yeah, I don't know if there were any injuries from this, any deaths from this. That guy just went out. Getting sunshine flashbacks with the bright light on Cillian Murphy's face. There it is. And it's just like, there is a beauty to fire in its destruction, even though it's so devastating. Look at it. It's mesmerizing, isn't it? They did it practically somehow. And there were all the jokes.
And now I am become death.
Destroyer of worlds.
Destroyer of worlds.
I know there were the jokes acting like Nolan actually built a nuke for the film because he does everything practically, but some of it looks like when you like inject ink into water and film it like that. It takes so long for the actual blast to get there.
Only $10. Oh. Come on. Hey, I'm good for it, Kisty.
He's the only one. Everyone else is celebrating so much, but can't quite read Oppenheimer's face there. There's like a tear in his eyes, like conflicted, proud, excited, but also terrified.
If they detonate it too high in the air, the blast won't be as powerful.
With respect, Dr. Oppenheimer, we'll take it from here.
Oh, he's losing control of it a bit. Yeah, it's so conflicting. I don't know how to feel emotionally after all of that.
Robert, we've given them an ace. It's for them to play the hand.
You ready for the sixth?
Yeah, it's suddenly all out of his hands, out of control.
Perhaps all war becomes unthinkable.
Until somebody builds a bigger one.
Just the start. Yeah. It's the start of the arms race.
It's only the 5th.
In Japan, it's the 6th.
It's weird, yeah, how suddenly out of the loop he is now.
Try Groves. Anything?
camera's handheld, it's like a bit erratic.
An American airplane dropped one bomb on Hiroshima. The bomb had more power than 20,000 tons.
People are celebrating.
It went all right.
Apparently, it went with a tremendous bang.
Is this the time for puns?
Spent more than $2 billion on the greatest scientific gamble in history.
I'm surprised how quick it went. It was like the test was July 15th and then August 6th they launch it. And these are the stomps that terrify him, aren't they? Yeah, they don't even realize it's so distant from them. Thousands of people dead and they're cheering. He's the only one who's really contemplating the repercussions. Ooh. It's distorting. It's cool.
I'll bet the Japanese didn't like it.
He's got to play into it a bit as well. He's got to keep up the facade a bit. Screaming baby in there.
I just wish we had it in time to use against the Germans.
I love that you're not hearing the cheering anymore. Just his voice isolated and a few sound effects. Okay. Imagining its use on people. I know there was like some flack about not showing the Japanese sign, not showing the death and destruction, but I still think it's... I still think the emotional impact of it is there. Yeah, like mixing in screams of joy with the screams of terror is great. Two people kissing there, it could be out of celebration or it could be their last moments. But notice also the way he's like rationalizing it, thinking of the morality of it, it's all portrayal of white people suffering there as well. Person of the Year, wow. Yeah, not necessarily saying that Oppenheimer doesn't see them as people, but some people, they can only empathize with people when they see it as their own race in a way.
Your invention let us bring our boys home.
Well, it was hardly my invention.
It was. You on the cover of Time.
Collective effort, though. Trying to take all the blame, too.
I feel that I have blood on my hands.
And he's going to give him a napkin. Wipe it away.
Gives a shit who built the bomb. They care who dropped it. I did.
They're both equally responsible. He wouldn't have been able to drop it if he didn't build it, you know?
Don't let that crybaby back in here.
Someone built a gun, someone built a bullet, someone pulled the trigger. All of the steps are necessary in it.
Was instantly and seriously burned.
The Japanese spoke of...
Still not seeing it, just people's reactions. Leaves it up to your imagination as well, doesn't it?
Bombed an enemy that was essentially defeated.
Yeah, Japan was already on the last legs. It was just like a full stop, wasn't it?
Nobody knows what you believe. Do you?
Yeah, it's very hard to get in his head. What does he believe?
We needed to pivot.
But how would you know what Time magazine was going to write?
Henry Luce is a friend.
Oh, influence over the media, influence over public opinion.
You sat here and let me tell you how it's done, but you've been far ahead all along.
Always got to be one step ahead, wow.
Or get caught holding the knife yourself. I'm beginning to think Borden was holding the knife for you.
Oh, really?
Borden, when we all know.
It was Strauss.
And then you humiliated him in front of Congress.
The revenge for humiliating him there a bit as well.
You gave the file to Borden, you set him on Oppenheimer, you convinced him...
Borden didn't take any convincing.
Borden was already, on the same page.
No trial, you can't give Oppenheimer a platform. You can't martyr him. We need a systematic destruction of Oppenheimer's credibility.
All politics, isn't it? It's just chess pieces moving.
Roger Robb. Ouch. Robb will have security clearance to examine Oppenheimer's file.
So he set up who would be in the room as well. Knows Robb is harsh.
Power stays in the shadows.
But sir, you're out of the shadows now.
Yeah, that's why this has to work.
So he can sneak back into them.
I have to consult my lawyers, Louis.
Of course. But don't take too long. I can't keep Nichols at bay.
Yeah, framing it as keeping Nichols at bay. Backstabbing, being on his side.
I'm sorry. I would like to know what document Mr. Robb is quoting from and if we might be furnished with a copy.
The document is classified, Mr. Garrison.
Yeah. How are you supposed to defend yourself when you can't have the document because it's classified?
Please. Is this proceeding interested in entrapment or in truth?
We already know.
Frost told him that you and Ruth Tolman have been having an affair for years.
Throwing him under the bus, yeah.
That's absurd.
What's hard?
A broken heart. Wish you'd never found out.
So it was true. Nah.
Who was that?
Oh, didn't get to see Lawrence. Okay.
Dr. Lawrence has apparently come down with colitis.
Ooh, Lawrence bowed out?
These are accusations that have not previously been made.
The witness wrote this letter on his own initiative, laying out evidence that has already been before the board.
Yeah, it's all just such a setup.
I don't think I should be subject to cross-examination by you, Mr. Garrison.
Mr. Garrison, given that we on the board have all read the letter, wouldn't it be better to have it in the record?
Mr. Garrison's just being eaten alive here, isn't he?
Most of the scientists in this country would prefer to see Mr. Strauss completely out of government.
Ooh, okay.
No, because of the personal vindictiveness he demonstrated against Dr. Oppenheimer.
I didn't think he'd be standing up for Oppenheimer.
Scientists around this country that Robert Oppenheimer is now being pilloried and put through an ordeal.
So the scientists are all standing by him, yeah. Yeah, I thought because he didn't sign a petition for Hill, you know, but he's still defending Oppenheimer.
No board in this country should sit in judgment of a man because he expressed strong opinions.
Freedom of speech.
I would not clear him.
Yeah.
If I were on the commission. Good. Thank you, General. That is all. But I don't think I'd clear any of those guys.
Oh, tries to expand on it, but shut him down.
And you wouldn't want to leave this board with any suggestion today that you're here questioning his basic loyalty to the United States and the operation of Los Alamos?
By no means.
Okay. There's a good bit of questioning from Mr. Garrison there.
We've walked through fire together. She'll do fine.
See, she's got strong opinions. So how will she... how should we hold up in here?
I would have protested against the tactics of the man who served, in fact, as the prosecuting counsel. A man appointed not by the board,
but by Strauss.
Who was this?
Roger Robb.
This is Oppenheimer.
Yeah, so him getting in close, trying different tactics with her. Intimidation.
Not really.
Long enough to have forgotten.
Did you return the card or rip it up?
The card whose existence I've forgotten?
Your Communist Party membership card.
Haven't the slightest idea.
Okay. Doing well.
Did you know this money was going into Communist Party channels?
Don't you mean through?
Pardon?
I think you mean through.
She's turning it back on him.
Plain old regular commie.
Well, I couldn't answer that one.
I couldn't either.
So yeah, she's turning the tide.
You can't win this thing. It's a kangaroo court with a predetermined outcome. Why put yourself through more of it?
I have my reasons.
You're kind of the process he has to go through, though.
You certainly can't prove that I gave the file to Borden.
I mean, unless they ask Borden.
Why would Hill come here to tear me down? What's his angle?
Do people need a reason to do the right thing?
Yes. He had to defend himself there with that as he sees it.
You know he's never once said that he regrets Hiroshima? He'd do it all over. Why? Because it made him the most important man.
Yeah, we've seen we've seen it, you know, ourselves inside his head, but the ego is still there.
Well, then you knew, did you not, that by dropping that atomic bomb on the target you selected, that thousands of civilians would be killed?
He selected.
Would you have been opposed to the dropping of a thermonuclear weapon on Japan because of moral
Yes,
sense?
I believe I would, sir.
Or did you...
Ooh. Is he on fire? Oh no, it's just that wobbling.
Years building the bomb, you then argued against the use of it.
I was asked by the Secretary of War.
No, he is smoking though.
The Soviet atomic just said a super bomb should never be built. What I meant.
The intensity, he's feeling it here. There's the imagery of the bomb.
Has come to the unanimous conclusion that you are a loyal citizen.
Are a loyal citizen.
In the light of your continuing association, we have voted 2-1 to deny the renewal of your security clearance.
What does that mean for him then? I mean, obviously can't work on anything with security clearance anymore, but he's not completely out of academia and things, you know.
Robert.
Don't they get the sheets?
Oh, bringing that round, okay.
Did you think that if you let them tar and feather you, the world would forgive you? It won't.
Ooh, okay. How does she feel about it? Does she forgive him? I don't know if those were tears for the conclusion or just tears for the impact of it.
Possible. They didn't talk about you at all.
Okay, yeah.
They spoke about something
more important.
Ooh. That was a nice little burn.
To deal with the consequences of your achievement. Pat you on the back, tell you all is forgiven.
But he knows it's not.
It won't be for you.
For them.
It'll be for them.
She still knows.
We thought we might start a chain reaction that would destroy the entire world. I believe we did.
Oh. Stomping again. Oh. Chills all over. Yeah, there's still been the chain reaction, not in the way they thought. Wow.
Okay, there we have Oppenheimer. That was really great. I think that addressed a lot of qualms I have with some of Nolan's work. The kind of how plot focused it is usually with Nolan's work, leaving behind the character focus, whereas here, much more character focus, which I really love. I think this is one of the first of his that doesn't deal with time as a concept as well. There is still some interest in the filmmaking, there are a few jumps back and forth, but it's much more conventional than a lot of his other films, say Tenet or even Dunkirk, where there's kind of the day, the hour, that setup there. There are flashbacks and jumps forwards, jumps here and there. But again, it's much more conventional, its use of time here. I think Nolan's use of time can work really well, like with Inception and Interstellar. The kind of time on that planet was cool, but it also can be a bit convoluted, like in Tenet. So I really liked what he did here. Also, sound mixing, of course, I'm not watching it in the cinema, so I don't know what that was like, the cinema experience. Having, the voices drowned out is something that has been quite a problem with Nolan films, but the mixing on this version I was watching was great. The voices were nice and crisp and clear, and of course it does help that I have the subtitles as well to help me understand it. I think it's also important to acknowledge, it's a collaborative effort as well. As much as people love Nolan, there's so many people involved in this. Ludwig Göransson, the music was amazing. That main theme, Can You Hear the Music, was really great. The different tempos, and it's like emulating the atoms bouncing off each other, everything, the chain reaction is really great. And there's hundreds of people who worked on this film, all of the cast, of course, but then people who had to do the practical explosions, pyrotechnic specialists. So many people going in, hair, makeup, costume designers. A lot of the time people contribute a lot of stuff just to the directors, but it's a collaborative effort. Loads of people did a great job here. You could even compare Nolan's role in a way to that of Oppenheimer himself, where he's the leader, he's like the director, but he might not be the most knowledgeable on each of the areas. There was that points where Oppenheimer was saying, oh, this guy has better maths than me, you do it. He's delegating the tasks. It's Nolan's vision, but lots of people worked on it too and contributed loads. And then with the pacing of this, we had the Trinity test. Trinity test happened around the 2-hour mark. And then just past that, we had all of everything happening in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We had all of that confirmed. And we had that great moment with the crowd and him giving that speech, and then him seeing kind of the aftermath shown through that crowd. And that felt like that could have been an ending. But then the film had another hour, 50 minutes to go, where it was back into the courtroom drama. And at the start, I wasn't as invested in the courtroom drama. I was more invested in the kind of emotional, moral aspect of it, the developing of the bomb, all of that. And then we go back into the courtroom drama, and the last 45 minutes, 50 minutes, nearly an hour were just the courtroom drama, which I didn't find as exciting at the start. But by the time we got to that point, we had the revelations with Hill coming in and kind of throwing straws under the bus. And then we had all the revelations with him, RDJ, his betrayal, the politics, the moving of the chess pieces with that. By the end, I was actually really enthralled by that. That caught me off guard, how much the twists and turns of that bit actually excited me, because I was like, oh, we've had Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombed. We've had some of Oppenheimer's kind of regrets over that, seeing how he's dealing with that emotionally. What is the rest of the film? I know there's the courtroom drama to come, even though it's not technically a courtroom, but it's very similar style. And yeah, it kept going, but I did end up really loving that as well towards the end. And I think the ending here was really great. The final line, the chain reaction has already started, the chain reaction that will lead to the end of the world. You know, they're talking about that obviously from the point of just the chain reactions of the particles all hitting into each other and exploding in the atmosphere, but thinking of it more as a metaphorical lens. That's really great, really haunting. What an amazing kind of haunting ending note to leave it on, with the imagery. And we even have this imagery of like Oppenheimer himself sitting in a like aircraft. And I imagine that's him imagining himself sitting there being the one to drop the bomb. You know, obviously he's not the one who firsthand made the decision to drop it or did drop it, but he still feels that guilt, still feels that responsibility. And of course, the moral dilemma here is also really huge. And I can completely understand it as well. Like, nuclear weaponry is the worst invention of humankind, the biggest mass like destroyer of life. Like, one thing, one bomb, one weapon can kill so many people. 110,000 they said, so 220 between the two cities, all basically innocent civilians. There might be, you know, a few enemy combatants in there, but that doesn't justify the insane amount of collateral damage caused by it. It's one of the most heinous acts of war ever committed, but I can also understand the argument of wanting to build it and wanting to get it as a deterrent. And, you know, Oppenheimer's dilemma of never wanting it to be used, but the necessity for it to be built from the government. You know, you want to have it before the Germans do, before the Nazis can use it on yourself or someone you're allied with. The argument there of like building it and using it as a deterrent does work, but having to use it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, that's the question of, was it really necessary? You know, we see a lot of people here saying Japan was on their last legs, that was it necessary? And then they were saying, well, we use one as a deterrent and one to show that we can keep dropping more. But if you wanted to do that show of power, could you have, you know, just announced that you had that? Would that be enough? You know, these are questions that no one really knows the answers to. Could you have detonated it like off sea so it wouldn't have killed anyone, but people could see the mushroom cloud? You know, there's lots of questions there about the use. And then, yeah, the moral side of it, Oppenheimer's guilt, that's some of the most fascinating stuff here, because it's such a dilemma. You know, if you have the power to create such weapons of mass destruction and the knowledge, should you build it? But, you know, your instinct is to say no. But then when the argument comes up that your enemies might have it, it really like puts it into question and makes this moral grey area. And Oppenheimer is so filled with guilt, you know, that the scene when he gives the speech and everyone's waving the flags, stomping their feet, that stomping that's kind of haunting him throughout, that was such an amazing scene. Because, yeah, we're seeing the impact on it through his eyes. You know, at some points the crowd was gone, at some point you couldn't hear the crowd, then he like steps through that like burnt body. It was an amazing moment, one of my favorite moments of the film. Same with the ending. But yeah, just that, the dilemma around it, that level of destruction, indiscriminate destruction, should never be allowed to happen again, should maybe have never been allowed to happen in the first place. But there's also dealing with the enemies, other people who also have it, signing treaties to deactivate nuclear arms. I don't know, you know, realistically, if that would ever happen, because is there always going to be foreign players who are playing dirty, who aren't going to go along with it, and then you're out of the weapon when they have it. You know, it's really extremely difficult, and it's just like this weight, this burden of having you being the inventor of this thing that could destroy humanity, but then there's also this astounding technical achievement. You know, we see so many people celebrating, and they're celebrating their hard work and achievement, but then there's also people celebrating the deaths of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And again, I, saw the argument, the criticism of not actually showing the people of Japan in the whole film. But I think the weight of it is still there. It's already such a dense, packed film and long film. I don't know. I feel like it still works here. We still get the emotional weight from that through the moment we see with Oppenheimer, again in that scene where he gives the speech, everyone's stomping, waving their American flag, celebrating, and he's the only one really contemplating the consequences of this. And again, I don't know if this is intentional by Nolan, but by having you showing the consequences, but the people Oppenheimer is seeing the consequences happen on are American people. I don't know if that's purposeful by Nolan and trying to be an insight into what Oppenheimer thinks, but it is a way a lot of people moralize and relate to atrocities that are not happening to people of the same race. They imagine it happening to someone of their own. This is especially true for white people, and that's how they kind of realize these moments are so bad, which is an awful thing that people sometimes can't empathize with other races like that. But I wonder if that's intentional by Nolan and he's trying to make a commentary there or not, and that's just a way I've interpreted it, or if that is supposed to be a look into Oppenheimer's mind. But of course, he still does feel the guilt over the 220,000 people, but there are others around who maybe don't. There was a guy who decided not to bomb Kyoto because it was a place he'd been. And I just wonder if he'd been to other places around Japan, would he also decide not to bomb them? There's this place that he almost has an emotional connection to because he went on holiday there, as vain as it is, and he wants to preserve that. So it's a way that it's made it relatable to him, you know what I mean? That was one of the most disturbing moments in this film too, just how much he can't empathize with the others, but he's oh yeah, no, we shouldn't blow that up. We went on holiday there, and he said it's a kind of cultural moment, a cultural area for Japan as well. But surely all of these big cities have some cultural significance, Blowing up any big city like that with that many people, you're destroying so much culture, so much history, and so many lives. And I do really love the way, kind of the impact of the bomb, the symbolism from that is brought into other places, when Ross was being super intimidating in that meeting, how they bring in the super bright light, the flash from the initial explosion of the bomb. I think that works really well too, showing the panic and the intimidation there with Oppenheimer. I do also like putting forward the notion that ego could have played a part in this as well. As much as he might say he did it for protection and everything, there is also a point to consider with him wanting to do it for the fame. He said it was the most, they were saying he's the most famous person in the world at that point, the father of the bomb, that must have played into it slightly as well. This technical achievement side of it and the ego that goes along with that. We've seen people criticize him as only being theoretical and not being able to apply things practically. this is almost like the ultimate proof against that he did manage to get this built and get this working. He managed to take something from theoretical into practical here. And this film is, yeah, just really dense with a lot of information. There's a lot of character names. Like, you know, I was taking notes of characters and character names throughout, but there's still some I missed. Like Chevalier, there was the Chevalier incident, and I was just like, they're calling it the Chevalier incident. Was he a character we knew? And it was the guy that was part of the Communist Party with him. But like, I wasn't quite sure. I was like, oh, is it someone we know who's like given him up, betrayed him? What's going on there with that? But we find out who it actually is, and I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. It was that moment before that Oppenheimer should have reported but didn't, and that all plays into kind of the Red Scare aspect of it. The communism and socialism are such a boogeyman here. His ties to the Communist Party, and it still is crazy how even today, just the word communism and socialism can scare some people. And, you know, there's certain like political policies where someone could be like, yeah, that's a good idea. And then when you say, well, that's actually a socialist idea, suddenly they're like, wait, no, I don't support it. You know, it's crazy how much America with propaganda managed to demonize socialism and communism, the ideology of it, rather than how it's been used practically in the past, or how people have used the names to disguise their dictatorships or fascism. Okay, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, consider leaving a like, comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date on all future uploads. And yeah, see you guys later.